about what joint venture is all about, how joint ventures work. We're also going to be talking about my background in terms of how I got into doing joint ventures. I know some of you may have heard my story before, but I think it's very important for those of the guys who are watching this DVD with the home study program to understand how I got into doing business as a joint venture broker, and how in the space of 18 to 24 months I've become one of the world's top JV experts in the world. And this is good for you guys as well, because I know you may have seen this presentation before, but make some notes in terms of ideas that click, because most of this stuff is it's not theory based, it's practical based, and this is what I've been doing for the last sort of 15 years. Session 2, we're going to talk about joint venture brokering. What is a joint venture broker? I'm also going to be talking about how your commissions and fees work as a joint venture broker, and the whole aspect of joint venture brokering. Session 3, we're going to talk about one of the most important things, building your credibility. I'm going to take you through the steps and stages that I've used to build my credibility in this marketplace. And here's the thing, guys. By building your credibility, you will get to the stage where people will chase you, okay? People will come to you with deals, okay? And that's where you ultimately want to be. You ultimately want to be in a position where people are coming to you and say, look, can you help us? This is what we're trying to do. This is what we have. And that's the position really where you guys want to be eventually, that you've got people who know who you are, and they come to you specifically for joint venture deals. Session 4, we're talking about JV product creation. Now, most of what I teach and most of what I do is offline joint ventures, but I also get involved on the online joint venture side. I'm not going to be talking too much about things like product launches and going too much depth into online JVs. There is a resource material that I'm going to provide for each of you in terms of how to deal with affiliates and how to go down the boundaries of becoming an affiliate manager. I'll also discuss the difference between joint ventures and joint venture partners and affiliates. I think there's a big difference between the two. But JV product creation, basically, I'm going to teach you guys how, if you're working with companies and you're using any sort of online elements, how to set up products for them. Maybe information products, for example. As you know, as most of you guys know, I repurposed a book into a DVD, and I did 7 figures with that launch. I'm going to teach you how to do that, okay? How to take someone else's product, for example, whether it's a book or whether it's something that they have, and repurpose that into suitable content that you can put out there, okay? So we'll be talking about that as well. Agenda for tomorrow. Session 1, we're going to talk about finding joint venture partners. Okay, how to actually go out there and, number 1, target the market, how to use target marketing tools, and actually how to go and find joint venture partners. Session 2, we'll be talking about how to contact joint venture partners, how to actually go out there and what sort of methods we use and what sort of approaches we use. I'll talk about the 2-stage approach that I use, and I'll also be talking about how now I'm using a lot of social media to go out and contact joint venture partners and build relationships. The most amazing tool right now is social media, and I'm going to take you through that in terms of how I do that. Session 3, we'll talk about the joint venture proposal, how to put the proposal and structure the proposal together. Also, how to go about structuring a proposal that gets accepted. And also on session 3, I'll be talking about how to close the joint venture deal as well, and pitfalls as well, things to look out for, without being ripped off, basically. So things that you need to be doing and putting in place to make sure that the deal goes through and the deal doesn't get dropped. Session 4, we'll be talking about managing joint venture partners. This is the biggest thing. As joint venture brokers, we get involved in certain projects. We have to be managing joint venture partners on both sides. So I'll show you how to do that and how to make sure that the joint venture is successful. The agenda for day 3. I'm going to be talking about types of joint ventures. I've added some more joint ventures onto my current list in terms of joint ventures that people are doing, or joint ventures that I've done myself, and joint ventures that you can get up and running straight away. Everyone knows joint ventures, and there's different explanations of joint ventures, but I'm going to take you through the types of joint ventures that you can apply to pretty much any scenario. Then session 2, we're going to look at joint venture examples. I'm going to take you through some real good examples of matching JV partners and how joint ventures work in different industries. Okay. We're going to carry on to session 3 with more joint venture examples, because I want to give you some ideas on, how joint ventures work in different industries, and with that, you guys can pick that up, and it's something that you can easily run with, because they're pretty much joint ventures that have been done already. So it's very easy for you to actually say, okay, look, I can do that, or I know someone that I can put together and do that as well. And then session 4, it's your Easy JV project. I'm going to be introducing to each of you part of the program. I have a return on investment guarantee by handing you an offline JV project, a business that I used to run, and a business that I've sold licenses to, which is a local joint venture project that can be replicated anywhere. And that's basically got the potential to do $10,000, $15,000 a month. So most of you made an investment in this program, and I'm going to be handing you each a project that you can actually go out and do straight away to get your return on investment. The most important thing, and the reason why I did that, some training programs you come to and you do the training over the 2, 3, or 4 days, and you walk away and that's it, and it's like, okay, now go out and do it. But see, the whole point here is I want you guys to succeed. That's the most important thing for me. All of you in this room have been selected specifically to be in this room. I've had to turn people away who I thought weren't right for this program. The reason being is I'm looking for success stories. I'm looking for people who can go out and be successful. And you guys are also part of my team. Any JVs that I get, I distribute to you guys in the group. You've also got access to our private Facebook group, which is more or less like a mastermind. And the great thing is, all of us, this morning we've done our introductions. All of us pretty much have some core skills that we can all work together with. So pretty much that's what we'll be covering over 3 days. I've also got over 25 JV projects sitting in my inbox, which I will be giving out to you guys as a bonus as well. Okay, so you not only get the main project that I promised you guys, you'd also be getting an additional project. And what I will be doing also in the private group is I'll be putting on a regular basis projects in there, but obviously I won't be putting the contact details of the project providers, for example. You guys will have to PM me for that. If it's something that interests you, rather than just putting it in the group and everyone saying, okay, I'll take a stab at that, you basically send me a private message and say, look, I have experience in that. And for example, Werner, someone contacted me for the high luxury end market, and I decided I put it in the group, and I knew Werner would be ideal and suitable for that. And I believe you're meeting the guy here this weekend, are you? I hope so, yeah. Yeah. Okay, cool, brilliant. So that's going to be really cool. So, and obviously, while we are all here during the 3 days, I'm going to be trying to see if we can make some connections, outside of this room, and seeing if we can actually, put together some joint ventures while we're here. So that's pretty much the agenda for the 3 days. Now, let me just start with our first session. Okay, so. Good timing. Let's kick off with the first session. Let me just see if that's okay. Okay. For the benefit of those of you watching the DVDs for the home study program, I know most of you guys already know who I am, and we've been acquainted. But I wanted to take you through quickly who I am and why I'm more or less qualified to be here teaching this program here today. So first of all, who is Sohail Khan? Jay Abraham is one of the top joint venture experts in the world, top marketing experts, and his marketing partner, Mark Goldman, quoted me as a true rags to riches super success story, just like Andrew Carnegie. Jeff Mills gave me the name The Master Connector. I was a JV expert for a UK marketing guru called Jonathan Jay, was featured on his success track as one of the joint venture experts. So the great thing about joint ventures is, guys, there's not many experts around. So later on when we talk about credibility building, I'll show you exactly how to do that and to position yourself as a joint venture expert as well. I've achieved over £10 million using joint ventures, and I'll take you through exactly how I've done that. I'm an international speaker charging $5,000 for a keynote speech. Speaking is a great way of getting yourself out there as well. And like I say, all of you guys have access to not only my material, but to most of the information that I've developed over the last couple of years. You'll have access to that as well. I'm the only Brit ever to be invited to speak about JVs in the US. US is a great market, and the great thing about joint ventures, it is a global audience. I'm founder of my brokering business, and one of the top JV experts in the world. So that's a brief introduction to myself and who I am. Okay, so what will we be covering in this session? The power of joint ventures. I'm going to take you through the importance of joint ventures and how joint ventures work. And obviously I'm going to take you through how I became a joint venture expert. And we'll be looking at real-life joint venture case studies in this session. So let me start off first of all by saying this is what I believe is the world's most powerful business strategy. I mean, I've been doing marketing now for maybe 15 years, and I believe this is the world's most powerful business strategy. So basically, what is a joint venture? Get a glass of water. There's some water there. Cool. Okay, joint venture is basically an arrangement of mutual benefit between two or more people or businesses who have complementary resources. Now, basically how this works, and then I'll give you an example. And the classic example I always give is, let's say, for example, you have a bathroom tile manufacturer and you have a bathroom suite manufacturer. Both of these companies have complementary products, but they're not competing with each other. But the main thing is their customer base is complementary. Okay, customers will buy both the bathroom suite and the bathroom tiles. The great thing is these companies are not competing. So as a joint venture broker, you can easily put these companies together because they share the same customers. So it's all about looking at the customer demographics in the customer database. When you have more than two people in a joint venture, the third person is normally known as a joint venture broker, and this is what we do. Nowadays, most companies, and the point here is most companies will not do joint ventures together because most companies see each other as either a threat or as competition. Now, it's our job to be able to act as the intermediary to bring two companies together and to make sure that we manage the joint venture deal for them. Okay, most people say to me that, how do I know if I put you put two companies together and then try and basically backdoor you and they try and work together? That's not always going to happen. Because companies are very wary of what they share with other companies. But as a consultant or as a broker, they see you as an independent. Okay, that's the great thing about being a joint venture broker. Resources can range from product, services, business assets, and the customer list that has a relationship with the list owner that can be leveraged for minimal cost. So basically, people see joint ventures as, you mail for my list, I mail for your list. But it's more than that. Resources can range from products, services, business assets, and assets can be anything from, office buildings to warehouse space to call centers, and anything that's being underutilized, any asset. And the great thing is, and it's quite amazing, as a joint venture broker, you will basically go out into different places and see the potential of things that are being underutilized. Whether it's hotel space, whether it's a hotel foyer, for example, or space in a supermarket, space in a shopping center. So it's not always just about customer databases and doing things with that. There's a lot of leverage that can be done with things that are being underutilized and assets that are being underutilized. And I'll give you a classic example, and this is a great joint venture that one of you guys may want to do as well. There's a chap in Australia who basically went downtown, and what he did was he looked at all office blocks, okay, that had ground floor windows that weren't being used or covered. And what he basically did was he did a deal with the with the owners of the office blocks to advertise in their windows. So what he did with that, he went to all the local restaurants, and he told the local restaurants that, look, I have this advertising space that's basically, it's a premium advertising space. It's basically on the high street, or it's in office blocks where people walk past all the time, and it's not being utilized. And he ended up making, between $50,000 to $100,000 a month just advertising. So it's stuff that you can do, and it's amazing when I go into, especially into the city in London, I'm like, wow, all these dirty, gringy, office ground floor office windows that are being either covered or not being utilized. what a great space to be able to approach someone and say, look, I want to do a deal. What I want to do is acquire that asset. This business is all about controlling assets, okay? That's the most important thing. And let me tell you this about joint ventures, is if you can control distribution, okay, or if you can take control of a product or an asset like that, that's where you'll make millions, okay? So, again, thinking in the bigger picture sense, and what I want you guys to do is to go out there and do the big deals, okay? But acquiring control of assets or distribution is where it all starts from. I don't think there's anyone else apart from probably Jay Abraham who teaches that. Most of the people say, go and find a product first and then go and find a market. No, you go and find a market or distribution or an asset that can be controlled, and then you go out and find a product or find the customers. So remember that's very, very important. So again, according to one of my mentors, the marketing expert Jay Abraham, less than 5% of people know how to use joint ventures properly. So you're very, very lucky to be in an environment where you understand joint ventures. I still get approached every day by people saying that, I know what joint ventures are, but I don't know how joint ventures work. And that's where we come in and say, look, this is what joint ventures are, this is how they work, and this is what we can do by putting together a joint venture deal for you or your company. And obviously most people don't even know how to use them at all. And this is what we're here for over the 3 days, to take you through exactly how joint ventures work and how we can use them to structure deals. And I'm going to be, I'm going to be giving you loads of ideas in terms of what sort of joint ventures we all can create. Okay, so what do you think is a business's most valuable asset? Relationship, yeah, okay, correct, yeah. Obviously you've seen this before. Yeah, most people say a business's most valuable asset is its list, for example. Like people always say the money's in the list. The money is actually in the relationship that you have, with your customers. And this is the key to being successful in this business, okay? It's all about relationship building. And we've had this discussion before, yes, it's fine to make money, it's fine to make lots of money in this business, but where the big money is in the relationships, okay? The relationships that you build with people, the relationships that you already have that can be leveraged, that is where you will make loads of money. I mean, I'm talking lots of money. When a business is sold, this asset is valued on the balance sheet. So, if you're ever involved in building a company or approaching someone and saying, look, I can help you with this joint venture deal, because you know what? By acquiring customers, or acquiring recurring customers, we can build a solid asset in your business to be sold. So you might approach a business that's either undervalued or underutilized and help them build that business with a view to selling it. Okay, I know a friend of mine right now. He's working with a lot of companies pre-IPO. And helping them manage things like lead generation and building their customer database. And he's also working with startups who need to go out there and prove that the concept works, okay? And he's working with them at the same time as well before they get funding, helping them put together deals where they can actually, make sales and revenues by doing what they do. And it's very low cost as well. Sometimes it's no cost whatsoever. Here's the most important thing. It costs 6 times as much to sell to a new buyer. Now, when you approach a business, for example, and you say, look, how much are you spending on lead generation? The great thing with joint ventures is it decreases the cost of lead generation. So over a period of time, a business may be spending money on acquiring new customers. By bringing you in as a joint venture broker, basically on a performance basis, they got nothing to lose. They spend no money up front. They still have an outgoing cost for lead generation, but when they bring you on board and you're helping them acquire leads or customers, then they'll find that their advertising and marketing costs go down, okay? Because what they're doing now is predominantly joint ventures where there's no upfront cost. Also, selling to the same customer again is pure profit. So once they've acquired customers, if they're selling again to the same customer, it's basically pure profit. But the great thing is it costs them nothing using someone else's list, okay? Because someone else has already done the promotion, the lead generation, the hard work. All you're doing is stepping in and you're utilizing someone else's list to acquire customers or leads for them, okay? So that's the great thing about what we do, and I don't see any other industry that's able to do that. And obviously more of the profits are yours or the business owners, because there's no advertising cost whatsoever. whatever. So it's a good way to approach companies and say, look, this is what we do, and our whole point here is to save you costs and bring down your advertising and marketing costs by going out there and doing no risk joint ventures. Okay, so let's talk about again the benefits of joint ventures. And joint ventures basically allow you to compensate weak areas in your business without the normal investment. And the great thing about this, as I mentioned previously, is most businesses nowadays in this economy, they have problems growing. I mean, I know this myself. I used to run a business, and we had limitations in terms of what we could afford and what we couldn't afford. But the great thing about what we do as joint venture brokers is we can walk into a company and say, look, there's no initial nominal investment on your side. I'm a joint venture broker, for example. I work on a performance basis. I can go out there and acquire the assets or acquire the resources that you need, and I only take a percentage of the sales and profits that we make. And the great thing is you can do what is also called double dipping, which means you can actually make a commission on both sides, which is something that's a great thing you can do. And you can go out and acquire assets for companies. For example, I mentioned about a company who might need a sales team, sales force, or a call center, for example, and they don't have the investment. Call centers are very expensive. I used to run in my previous company a 25-man call center. Very profitable for us. We made a lot of money. Margins were very good, and we sold a high-ticket product. But most companies can't afford that. Whereas sometimes when we were okay, but I've seen businesses where business is slow for them and they have to cut salespeople, but they've still got this investment in this big call center. So what you could easily do is approach them and say, look, you're not utilizing the resource that you have. I have a client who basically needs access to your resource. If we can either train your sales team or bring in some new people and train them, we can share the profits of any sales made. So that's the great thing about joint ventures. It also allows you to take advantage of unlimited business complementary skills and resources. The great thing with this is once you've done one joint venture, it's easy to replicate this, okay, again and again and again with different clients or different businesses. And I know we've already had a conversation before, and I'll take you through some of the joint ventures that I've done. And I'm also a person who's done what most people do. You do one successful joint venture, and it's like you should repeat it again and again and again. So always be on the lookout for ways that you can replicate deals that you already do. Because if you have a deal that you've done, you can easily take that to another company and say, look, here's what I've done previously with this business. Here's the results that we had. We'd like to now do it with you guys. It also allows you to boost lead client generation very, very quickly. One of the reasons why I think my previous business, which was, we built that to a 10 million turnover, which was very, very successful, was because of the targeted leads that we were developing. We weren't throwing money at advertising that wasn't generating targeted leads for us. We used to approach companies that had unconverted leads, and I'll talk more about that on day 3, about a strategy that I've used myself that you guys can actually go out there and help other businesses use. I did a lot of joint ventures with that business, and generated leads and targeted leads for my call center without actually having to go out and pay for it. So that's one of the great things with joint ventures as well, that you can help. Also allows you great branding potential for free. One of the great things that I've found with joint ventures is aligning yourself with certain people, certain groups, certain partners gives you credibility and great branding potential. For an example, most of you guys are here on my program. Most people know who I am, and at the same time, we're all going to be working together as a team, which allows you guys to build up your brand and credibility at the same time as well. Also allows you to make money out of thin air. Now, this is something that people always said. I've said about joint ventures, it's something that allows you to make money out of thin air, and it does. Without a resource, without basically any upfront investment, you can go out and create joint ventures. That's the great thing about JVs. You don't need to build a business. You don't need to build, a call center, build a sales team. You just go out and utilize someone else's. And I'll also mention to you some of the projects that I'm working on right now, and some of the areas that I think are the most profitable areas, for people to like us to be working on. Okay, so most of you probably heard my story before, but for you guys who have purchased the home study DVD and the home study system, I just want to take you guys through again how I started in this industry with joint ventures, and all of you guys can make some notes on what I've done in my business previously and any ideas that that come up. So this was me in 2006. I built a 7-figure business using joint ventures. And it's a great lifestyle, and it's a great industry to be in. I always wanted that shiny red Ferrari when I was a little boy, and I managed to achieve that, and the big grand Georgian mansion as well, mansion house that I acquired building that business. And then in 2008, the recession hit us. I ended up losing everything. I had to sell all my cars. The house went, and I was totally broke. And a lot of us have been on this journey, and I met a lot of people over the last 2 years who have been through similar journeys of making lots of money, losing lots of money, and then just trying to figure out what do they do now, how do they move forward. Now, with the power of joint ventures, which I believe is the number one thing or number one strategy, that if you acquire skills in how to do joint ventures, it will serve you for life. Okay. 2009, I set myself a challenge to make £1 million in 12 months, and I managed to close a £1 million deal in 30 days. Using the power of joint ventures. And what I want to do right now, again, is just go through how I started in this business, and for the benefit of those guys watching the DVDs, and I just take you through my story. So. And apologies to most of you who probably heard it before, but it's a very important life lessons to listen to. And if you guys want to make some notes, that would be great. So I originally trained as an accountant originally, but spending most of my time working in the city as an accountant, I found myself helping most people how to use the computers and the internet. And what basically happened was my supervisor mentioned to me that, Sohail, you're really good at helping other people, and you're really good at using, the internet. Have you considered doing something in IT, in information technology? So I left my job in the city and decided to do a course in information technology and business. And while studying, this was back in 96, 97. I wrote a thesis on the impact of the internet on the manufacturing industry. Did a lot of research, what this internet thing's all about, how this internet thing works, and I submitted my thesis, and my professor, unknown to me, posted my thesis online. Okay, and back in 1996, 97, we had bulletin boards. Google was launched in 98. And back then we had bulletin boards, and people started finding this thesis, reading it, and contacting me by email and asking me, look, we read your thesis, we're really interested in you coming and talking to our company about how we can use this thing called the internet to make money for our business. So there I was, straight up from there, talking to venture capital firms, .com companies and corporations. And one of my first clients was a company called QVC.com, which is a very, very well-known shopping channel website. And what I did was this. When I went to go and speak to these companies, I created a one-page website with some computer training courses, which were PowerPoint slides, and in a zip folder, and a shopping cart attached to the site. So people will go to the website, search for the courses they want, and just download the zip file with all the PowerPoint slide courses in them. And 1998, Google was launched, and we were finding ourselves ranked on #1 on the pages of Google very, very easily and very quickly. And we started getting orders coming in every day. So it was a great online business. Every day we would have orders that would come in, into the business, and we were making money from day one. So I used to use that as a showcase to show companies that, look, as internet marketing consultants, we know how to make money online. This is what we're currently doing. It's one of our pet projects, and it's actually making us money every day. So that was fantastic. 98, 99, we had clients that are paying us between 20 to 30, 40,000 pounds, which is about $60,000 every year to work with them on their internet marketing. It was fantastic. But then at the end of 99, the start of 2000, we had two things that happened. one was the dot-com bubble burst, and second we had Y2K. So not only did we end up losing most of our clients, there was also a situation for us where now most people didn't want to work with consultants, especially IT consultants. You know, IT consultants had a bad name. You know, we're all to blame for Y2K, and you know, you know, business went down. We lost the majority of our clients, and so you know, we had to think about what we would do next. And the great thing is, guys, you know, in any economy that we're in, joint ventures always work, okay? But sometimes the best time for joint ventures is when there's a downward trend or downward economy. And what happened with us was there was a downward trend in the technology sector. You know, no one was recruiting people from the you know, IT professionals, and the beginning of 2000, we had to make a decision. What do we do? The consulting side of the business has gone down. We can't do that. So we looked at the product side of the business, you know, the products that we were selling online, the computer training courses. And we decided to concentrate on that side of the business and say, okay, look, this is something that's interesting. You know, it's making us money. You know, we were doing between, you know, £4,000 or £5,000 a month, about $7,000. And we said, you know what, let's concentrate on this business. It's doing us really well. So we decided to focus our energies on trying to build this small computer training website business that we had. And in the beginning of early 2000, I came across a book, which I normally carry with me, but I don't have today. And the book is called, and you want to write this down, How to Get Everything You Can Out of All You've Got. And the book is by, a guy called Jay Abraham, and absolutely phenomenal book. Jay Abraham, one of the you know, top marketing experts, actually one of my mentors. I did one of his joint venture courses in Los Angeles quite a few years ago, and but I'm very good friends with one of Jay Abraham's. He was his COO, a guy called Spike Humor, who I just spoke with on stage recently in Las Vegas. So this book was absolutely amazing. You know, I read this book, and it really, you know, opened my mind to like different marketing strategies. And one of the sections in the book was joint ventures and strategic alliances. You know, how, and Jay talked about how you could approach companies basically without a penny or, you know, a cent in your pocket, and do deals with companies without actually putting money up front. And that fascinated me, and I thought, you know, this is quite amazing. So as we are, you know, in any economy that has a downward trend, in 2000 there was a downward trend in the technology sector. So what I decided to do was put Jay's strategies into action. You know, and the biggest thing about this, what we do as joint venture brokers, is all about action. Okay, and it is also a numbers game as well. You know, you try one joint venture, and if that doesn't seem to work, then you move on swiftly to the next one. Okay, there's plenty of deals out there to be done. So what I did was I contacted the largest IT recruitment company in Europe with a proposition, and here is what I here is what I said to them, and you might want to write this down. I sent them a brief email saying to them, you know, if I could increase your sales and profits without increasing your overheads, would you be interested? Okay, and initially I didn't tell them exactly what it was and how I did it, but that's my approach was, you know, look, I'm a joint venture consultant. I put companies together, and I have clients who are waiting, you know, to do business. And if I could increase your sales or profits considerably without increasing your overhead, is this something that you'd be interested in? So straight away they contacted me, and they piqued their interest, and they said to me, okay, look, we're really interested. Could you come out and see us? So there I was. I got a meeting, and you know, it was. And remember this, guys. Number one, I was a nobody. Nobody knew who I was. And number two, it was my first, you know, really my first meeting from reading a book. And like many of you guys will have, when you go out to your first meetings to connect with companies, it's all about exploring and finding out and asking questions. Okay, so I went to Regent Street in London to the head office, and there was 3 or 4 people in a room like this at a boardroom table, and they asked me that specific question. So Sohail, we're really interested. How would you go about increasing our sales and profits without us actually increasing our overhead? And I was like, look, it's pretty simple. I'm a joint venture expert. This is what I do. It's a joint venture. And I said, okay, let me just ask you a few questions. So I started asking them questions. You know, I asked them the question, you know, how big is your database? and they said, we have 100,000 IT professionals on our database. And I began to proceed and ask them, what sort of marketing are you currently doing to those IT professionals? And they said, well, we send out a newsletter every fortnight to the list that we have. And then I asked them again, do you advertise or what do you promote in that newsletter? And they said, we don't promote anything. It's just a newsletter that goes out telling them about new vacancies. So I proceeded to ask them, okay, right now, as you know, the industry, obviously no one's recruiting IT professionals. Where is the rest of your revenue coming from? And they didn't have any other revenue streams. So I said, look, I could build you a new profit center or a new revenue stream, and all I would require from it is basically a percentage of the profits. And then they asked me, how would I do that? I said, look, it's quite simple. I have these computer training courses that are doing really well. Again, I sat down with them and I said, look, these are the conversion rates. This is how much we're selling. This is our sales report for the last 2 or 3 weeks, and they're selling really well. This is the price points. So I said, look, what I would like you guys to do is put a banner in your newsletter, and when you send that out every fortnight, and any sales that you make from that, we'll split the profits with you guys. And what we also did was, who's heard of an affiliate program? Yeah, okay. And later on, I'll take you through some of the affiliate programs that we can use. I said, look, we have an affiliate program. We'll give you a link to put in the banner or in the newsletter that you send out, and we can track everything. We'll give you access to your own affiliate username and login, so you can go in and have a look and see, how many sales are being made, how many people have clicked on a link, for example. And also, we did different things, like we had different product boxes, okay, or product links, so we would be able to track which products they're more interested in, and then just target some of the banners for them. So it's phenomenal. In our with that one joint venture, in our first year of business with that little computer training website, we did close to £60,000, which is about $80,000 in sales. In our second year, our turnover jumped to just under £300,000, which is about $360,000. So from that, it was phenomenal, and I was hooked. And I thought to myself, this is really, really cool. How we can actually go to a company without actually spending money on advertising and marketing, and introduce that concept. And the funny thing is, and I haven't mentioned this before, we were the how should I put it? We were the leaders in that. Nobody else was doing that in the sectors. Nobody was doing banner ads into newsletters. And then what happened after a while is the 12-month contract that we had obviously didn't get renewed because they sussed on that they could actually charge a premium for the space in their newsletters. So they started off the e-banners. They were the first recruitment company which, from our advice in terms of what we implemented, they started off the e-banner concept, charging £500 or £1,000 for e-banners in their newsletters, which gave them another revenue stream. So the idea initially came from us, but like I say, we had that relationship over the 12-month period, and for us that was most important. And what happens is this: if you work with a company, and then after your initial contract, they decide to do it themselves, don't be disheartened, because as long as you get endorsement or testimonial from that company, you can take that somewhere else. Okay, so that's the whole point. You turn a negative into a positive. Just because they think to themselves they want to try and do it themselves, that's fine, they can do that. But as long as you can take something away from it and say, look, this is something that I did, this is the project I did, this is the company I worked with, here's the contact details of the company owner or business owner, and you're welcome to talk to them about how we did it there at that business. So always walk away with a positive. Don't cut your ties with companies if they decide to go ahead and try and do things themselves. Create that, any negativity there, just create it into a positive. So that was absolutely awesome. We did that, and then fast forward to 2002. I'm now going to talk about a licensing deal, which I believe is the biggest thing that each of us can really do moving forward, and it's the most powerful, some of the most powerful things that I've done in my businesses. Fast forward to 2002, and we had the whole industry changed. Where we were doing PowerPoint slide courses, a lot of the big companies started introducing video-based training, and this was about 10 years ago, and it was quite phenomenal. They started producing video-based training courses, and the target market changed. They were aiming for the other corporations or government institutions to provide them with training. And there we were with our little PowerPoint slide training courses. We wanted to compete alongside the big companies. We wanted to have the bigger contracts, but we couldn't do that with the really basic training courses that we had. So I went out there and did some research to figure out how much would it cost to create these new training courses. And again, look, this is a good thing that you guys can do in any industry sector when you're working with clients. And did some research, and I found out that it was costing about $10,000 per hour of e-learning content, okay, which is what it was back then. And I was like, this is going to cost us so much money. All our competitors have over 150 titles. We cannot compete with that. We either become a reseller for them and sell their product, but we don't want to do that. We want to build our own brand. We want to build our own company that one day we can actually exit and sell the company and say, look, this is our training, this is our brand. So I looked outside of the UK and Europe. I looked into America at a provider that we could actually license the content, you know. And I found a company in Clearwater in Florida, and they had the training content that we were after. So I contacted them and I said, look, you know, we're a training company in the UK, and what we're looking for is two things. One is we would like to license your content to sell in the UK and Europe, and two, we'd like exclusivity, so no one else can sell that content apart from us, and we'd like it white labeled as well. Okay, we'd like it with our own branding and our own face, so nobody knows that it's someone else's training. The company got back to me and they said, look, it's going to cost you, $100,000 basically for the license. And I was like, I don't really want to fork out any money here up front. So what I decided to do was, I jumped on a plane, flew to Clearwater, Florida, to meet the CEO of the company. The CEO of the company was a woman, very savvy, very, very smart. And while they were in the office, I was sitting in the office, beautiful office desk, walnut bookshelf. I glanced at the bookshelf and guess what I saw? I saw Jay Abraham's book in her bookshelf, and I was like, wow, this is cool. She's going to, when I start talking about joint ventures, she's going to understand exactly how joint ventures work. So I sat there and we started talking about joint ventures and, how we could work together. And I said to her, look, I don't really want to pay $100,000 for a license, but what I can guarantee you is that, sort of within the next sort of 6 to 8 weeks, I'll make you more than $100,000. But what I'm prepared to do is, as a commitment to you, give you $10,000 up front as an upfront commitment that every month we'll place a minimum order of $10,000 a month. And it was great. I got the deal signed, deal was done, flew back, and now we had our own content. We had over 160 titles. It was white labeled, and now basically for $10,000 down, I had a whole library of training courses that I can now get my guys to go out and say, okay, we can compete with the big corporations. Okay. But here's the amazing thing, and me and Dan had this conversation yesterday, and obviously Dan's from the US, and I was saying, Dan, isn't it great with the conversion? And back then the conversion was $2 to £1. So what we managed to do was, in the US they were selling their training courses for $3,500. In the UK we sold it for £3,500. Okay, so we didn't even do the conversion. We just converted the pound to dollars. But the great thing is this. When we were buying it in on the license, we were paying 75% off dollar retail. So we were paying 75% off $3,500, but selling it out at £3,500. Now our margins were close to like 95, 96%. Absolutely crazy margins that you never hear of in any industry. We were operating on those margins. So, it worked out really well for us. We had the licensing, we had everything in place. It cost us $10,000, and with the license agreement, we had that as well. And here's another thing that I don't always mention, but I managed to flip that license. There's a company in Glasgow called Thompson Learning, okay, very, very big company. They own one of the biggest correspondence schools in the world. I think they've got over like 5-6 million students. I approached them and said, look, here's the training courses that we have. I showed them the videos. I said, I could white label that for you, okay, and give you a license. Right? So what we ended up doing was the license that I had, I literally flipped the license. So I just basically reused the license that I had for another company, and now what we were doing was we had that company ordering from us, where we would order from the States. The States would ship the product across, and we would be collecting 15, 20, 30,000 pounds a month from the company in Glasgow. Okay, so that's an awesome thing. We had the control. So once you have a license like that, because we had exclusivity in UK and Europe, that license was ours basically. So we could do what we want to do with that license within UK and Europe. So that's another thing, that you guys, basically look at. Once you acquire rights to a product, for example, or a license, it's very, very easy to go out and sort of, reuse that license. It's like printing money. It's absolutely amazing. So that's what we did back in 2004. Fast forward to 2006, where I am here. I was reading something called the Sunday Times Fast Track, and you probably want to write that down. And they've got it in Florida down actually as well. It's called the Fast Track 100, which is a great publication for different industries. For example, they'll give you the 100 fastest growing companies. Ours was the technology sector, and in that publication, you see all these companies that are doing things in the industry, and they're the 100 fastest growing companies. I found a company in there that had it was valued at 100 million pounds, about 160 million dollars, and they had over 500,000 IT customers. Guess what I thought? Joint venture. I thought, okay, this is interesting. I'd love to approach them and see if we can do a joint venture with their list or with their customers. So again, I used the same approach. If I could, help you increase your revenue, your profits, without you increasing your overheads, would that be something you'd be interested in? Again, got invited to their offices. Beautiful glass building, car park with all Jaguars, BMWs, Mercedes. Very successful company. Went up to their offices, which was on the top floor. A beautiful, again, room with a mahogany boardroom table. Sat down with the chairman and the CEO. The chairman was the CEO's father. So we sat down together. Me sitting there, I started delivering my pitch like I normally do, talking about things that I've already done, how joint ventures normally work, and the sort of deal that I'll be proposing for this company. And 15-20 minutes into my pitch, I got stopped, and the chairman said to me, "Sohail, look, we're not really interested in doing a joint venture with you." And I was like, "Okay, this is interesting. I've been brought here in a meeting. Maybe I must have said something wrong, or this isn't going the way I thought it'd be. Okay, it's probably time to leave." And before I got up, the CEO, who was the chairman's son, said, "Sohail, we're actually not interested in doing a joint venture with you. We're interested in buying your business." And for me, it was like, wow. This company, we'd done some research beforehand. They had a very healthy balance sheet, cash in the balance sheet, and they were buying and acquiring companies. So I sat there and I thought, wow, this is really interesting. We had an exit strategy 2 years down the line, but hey, someone's offered us. Let's have a look and see what we can do. By then, I had 2 more partners, and I had to go back to my partners and sit with them and say, look, guys, we've got this deal on the table, and what do you think? Here's the thing: we had a corporate business. Our customers were corporate customers. Their customers were consumers. They obviously wanted to acquire our business to acquire our corporate customers and build a corporate division. So we decided to sell an equity, basically a majority stake in our business to them, and in return we had part cash and part equity in the 100 million IT group. So that was 2006. Became a multi-millionaire from that deal, and was now sitting on the board of a 100 million IT group. And it was, let me tell you, it was absolutely an amazing time. 2007, I stepped down as managing director and I doubled the business because I was now working on the business rather than in the business. You've heard most people say, work on your business rather than in the business. Now I was working on the business, and we managed to double the business in end of 2007. Then 2008. The recession hit us, and as you know, here in the UK, we had big companies like Woolworths go to the wall. We had some of the big investment houses as well around the world go to the wall, and who had been around for ages. They've been around 25, 30, 40 years. Companies were going under, and because we were basically directors of the new division that was created, when the business went under, so did our business, which was part of the division. Left us with with an enormous debt in the millions, and we had to negotiate with the banks, and I ended up selling everything. All my assets were sold to recover the costs, and let me tell you, one thing definitely to avoid is signing guarantees with banks. Okay, Banks are just in it for themselves, and they're just interested in what they can get out from you or business. So be very wary of signing any sort of guarantees. And guys, if you want to raise finance for your own business, or if you want to raise finance, go down the joint venture route. Okay, the great thing with this skill is that you don't need to have money in the bank. You don't need to raise money. You can always go to someone else who has a resource. Okay, so many people are open to doing deals with you because you bring something to the table. Okay, so it's absolutely amazing when you meet businesses, and I'll tell you more about some of the people that I've met recently at events who I've sat with, and I've decided to take a stake or a license in their product or their business for nothing. Okay, and it's absolutely amazing. And they'll be making money. They'll be making money, but some people have either lost interest or they don't know where to push it. And I'm like, look, let me come in. You made X amount of sales already. Let me come in, take a percentage, or take a stake, or take a license to own that product. So 2008, lost everything. Was totally broke. It was a very, very traumatic time for me. Going from being a multi-millionaire to being totally broke is not easy. I had as we call, I was in survival mode. I had bills coming out regularly. So I understand with most people because I've been there. I know what it's like when people say, I just need to make money. I just need to do this. I need to do that. So for me, it was the same thing. I was trying to find, the next thing. How do I make money? What do I do? And I went on a little spiritual journey for a little while. And one thing I learned was when I was away was I was thinking of moving to a transition to the next stage of my life. I've done that. I've lived the multi-millionaire lifestyle. I have the toys and cars, and what do I do now? But I realized one thing, that I will always be an entrepreneur, and I'll always have it inside me to actually do something or go out there and create things. Okay, which is what I love doing. So I came back from that and decided to go for my next challenge. And this is something that you guys should always be doing in your lives, personally and in your business. Okay, always challenging yourselves, taking yourselves to the next level. Life is all about going to the next step. Okay, some people, and it's really bizarre, and I've spoken about this many times again. I still go to seminars, but you know what? I don't go to seminars now as an attendee. I'm a speaker, so I'm actually on the stage speaking to people, but I still see the same people in the audience, and I'm like, what happened to you? I saw you at another event. You spent $5,000, £5,000. What happened? Oh, that didn't work for me, so I'm here again doing something else. And I'm like, oh God, I know, I've been there myself, survival mode, but it's fascinating how people actually have money and they're spending money, but they're not making money. So it's quite amazing, but I think everyone needs to sit down once in a while and really focus. And like I say, I'm gonna talk about some of the mindset stuff later on in terms of what I do and how I can help you guys get to that level where your mindset is just so amazing. You attract opportunities and deals to you. So, came back home, I moved back into my old home, my mum's home, where my old bedroom was, still there, luckily, and, spent some time thinking about what I wanted to do. And, it was quite for me, it was quite a depressing time. People around me saying that, you should have stayed in your job, and I was like, okay, and, no one tries to understand or be sympathetic with you in terms of what you've been through and what you need to be doing. So I sat down, and I still remember that day. My mother told me that what do you want to do now? And I was like, as you said, Mum, when you're down there, the only way is up. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the only way is up. So I said, look, I've got nowhere else to go. I can't go any lower than I am right now. The only way to go for me is up. So I sat down and I thought to myself, what have I done that's worked? What is there that I can do that would get me back on my feet quickly? And it was staring me in the face. It was joint ventures. And I was like, look, I've done joint ventures before, and it's really, really worked. And I've made money from it. And then what I did was, I sat down and I decided, in 2009, I set myself a challenge. I said, I'm gonna work very, very hard and do some deals throughout the whole year, and I'm going to try and make £1 million. £1 million was just something that I just put a spot down. I said, you know what, I'm going to challenge myself. I've done it before, and I want to do it again. I want to make £1 million in 12 months doing joint ventures. So I set myself a challenge in 2009 to make £1 million in 12 months, doing a couple of deals, but I ended up doing one deal in space of 30 days, which was a £1 million deal. And I'm just going to take you guys again through that exactly how I spotted the opportunity and how I approached it and how I closed that deal. So there I was again, reading the Mail on Sunday, and newspapers are really good things to read. You know, a lot of people spend a lot of money on one-page advertisements, but always look out for what they have resource-wise, because you can easily approach them because they're really open to doing deals or doing creative marketing. So there was a one-page ad for it was actually a book called How to Use Your PC in 2 Hours, and for me, it was really, really interesting. You know, it wasn't the book that was the most important thing. At the bottom of the book, there was a box that said over 400,000 copies sold. Now, here's the thing. Over 400,000 copies sold, right? So they've got a product, and it's sold 400,000 copies, and now they have a list of 400,000 buyers. So I'm like, okay, this is interesting. I contacted them and said, you know, I've got you know, a copy of the book. I bought it from my uncle. He's more into visual learning. Do you have a video version of the book? And don't forget, my previous company was video training, right? So I said, do you have a video version of the book? And they said no. And I said, well, I have a video version of this book. Would you be interested in promoting that to your existing customers who bought the book? I think there's there's a deal to be done here. They asked me to send them a copy of the DVD. I said, no, I'd rather come down there and show it to you and show you exactly how it works and talk about some more ideas. They said, okay, that's fine. So I got invited down to their offices over, I think it's in Surrey. And they're a direct mail company, very big direct mail company, 25 million turnover, and very, very savvy company. I sat with the managing director, and he said to me, okay, Sohail, let's have a look at this DVD, and let's see if it's if it's something that we can provide to our existing customers who bought the book. So obviously, I just pitched the idea. I never had the product. So I sat there and I said, well, I've actually forgot it. I left it at home on my office desk when I came out. I had to make an excuse. He said to me, look, we can't have this meeting. We can't go any further. But here's the thing. We are interested, and if it fits our demographics and if it fits the customer base, we'll be interested in seeing how we can do a deal to promote that to our existing customers. So I was like, wow, left the meeting thinking, excellent, these guys want to do a deal, now I need to go and find the product. So here's the important point of that story. I locked down the distribution, okay? I went out, they had a distribution channel, they had 400,000 buyers. I didn't have a product initially, but now what I've got is an interest in me having access to those 400,000 buyers, okay? So, like I said before, distribution is the key. You lock down a relationship with someone who has an asset or a distribution, then it's easy to go out and find products to bring. I mean, you can live off one JV if you wanted to, which is what I'm predominantly doing with this one, focusing on bringing more products in. And I'll tell you more about what I'm doing and more about some of the meetings that I have actually next week with some of these companies. Okay, and it's quite phenomenal. So there I was. I went away. And I went out doing some research on this, where could I get this DVD from, which is like a video training course, how to use your PC. So, I thought to myself, I went into Staples, Office World, looking in their racks, seeing what they've got, contacted these companies. And these companies, the thing is, it takes time for you to establish a relationship, okay, and explain to them what you're trying to do. Some of these companies didn't understand what I was trying to do, and they were like, okay, we can give you like 30 or 40% off, the price of the DVD. I was like, look, I don't really want 30 or 40% off. Need to be flexible on pricing, and we need to be able to see if we can do a white labeling. And they were like, look, we don't do white labeling, and this is what we'll give you, 30% off. I said, look, that's not good enough. I can't do anything with that because there'll be no margins in for me, no profit for me or the client. So I went away, had like 3 days left. I went onto a website, and you might want to write this down, called elance.com, ELANCE.com. Great website. If you're looking for outsourcers or freelancers, it's a good site to put projects up and get other people to do work for you. So I put a project up there, and I said, look, I've got this. Here's a book that I've got that needs to be converted into a course, like repurposing, okay, content. Because someone produced a video course for me, and I put the project price up, and people started bidding on this project. So I ended up paying $500 for a DVD course on how to use your PC in 2 hours. And I took the DVD back, and don't forget, I own the rights to that. I own the license. That's my course. So I took it back to the company, and they loved it. You know, the MD was sitting there watching it, thinking, "Oh, just like the book. It's just like the book. It's a video." And it was funny because the video was made with something called Camtasia. You might want to write that down. CAMTASIA.com, Camtasia.com. And most offline companies don't know about this. You know, some of the tools that I will be showing you over the 3 days, most offline companies don't know anything about these tools. And like I say, you'll all get a copy of the slides, and you know, all the tools will be listed on there. So you know, they love the DVD course. The managing director sat there and said, you know, what other titles can we create? And I was like, what other titles do you want? And he's making a list of titles, and I'm like, look, let's do this one first. Let's see how that one goes, and if it works really well, let's create some other titles. So I sat with him and I said, okay, first of all, how many people on your list from the 400,000 do you think we could upsell the DVD version of the book? And he was like, well, I think over the next sort of 16 to 18 months, we can probably get about 50% of them will buy the DVD. And don't forget, they're a direct mail company, so they know their figures very well. And that's the good thing about working with direct mail companies. They know everything about conversions and metrics, and that's really, really good. And I said, okay, that's fine. Then we started working on my percentage, and they're a catalog company like UVC. They work on a points basis. So they give you a percentage. It'll be a really, really small percentage. And I said, look, you're looking to sell this for, let's say, $19.95, which is, I think, $27, for example. I said, if you want to sell it for that much, all I want, basically, from the deal is £5 for each unit that you sell. You can keep the rest. But I don't want to do no distribution. I don't want to do any packing. I don't want to do any burning of the DVD. I'll give that all to you. So what I did was I gave them the DVD and a license. And I said, hey, I'll give you a license to the product. You can do whatever you want with it. For everyone you sell, I want £5. So £5 times the 200,000. That was my £1 million deal. I'd done the deal, signed and sealed. And I went back to the company with my agreement, and it was quite amazing. When I sat with the MD, he said, look, if this works really well, I want to roll this out to the rest of my database. Their database was 4.2 million customers, okay? Absolutely massive, and they're buyers as well. It's a catalog company based in the UK, and I'll show you later on how you can access those companies through a technique that I'll show you tomorrow. And also, number two, I'm meeting the guy. Actually, he's a good friend of mine now. I've got a meeting with him next week in London. He manages all of the UK direct mail lists, and he also knows Agora Publishing as well. So he's obviously got contacts in the US. And I don't know if any of you guys see. Did you see that link I put in the group forum for access to all the lists in the world? Well, yeah, okay, cool. So that's another access point where you can have a look and try these techniques. The great thing is, guys, go out there and do it. Okay, just contact them.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
How many sales they were making?
The sales were tracked basically from the orders that were coming in. So the orders that were coming in, I had access to all their sales processing. I had access to all their shipping, and that's in the agreement that I wrote. And I'll take you through that later on. I think we're doing that tomorrow in the joint venture proposal and closing the deal, what you guys need access to. Okay, it's very, very important what you need access to. It's got to be in that agreement. Okay, if they don't put it in the agreement and they don't want to give you access to it, don't do the deal with them. It's simple as that. Anyone who says that to you, don't do a deal with them. So look, this is how it works. It's got to be some transparency. So so that deal was done. I went back. I took the new agreement with me and I signed the agreement. I've got a copy of the agreement here, and I'll let you guys have a look at that as well. So I took the agreement back, got the deal done, signed the deal, and it was absolutely phenomenal. And here's the results that I got from that. But the great thing is, guys, also right now I'm their JV go-to guy. I'm bringing products literally to them from the US and from the UK as well. And one of the techniques I'm using right now is acquiring licensing to other people's products. And I'll take you through the deal that I did right now, and then I'll tell you a story of a recent deal that I managed to close, and I'll give you an insight into that as well. So let's take this again, the £1 million joint venture in 30 days. So what did I do? I found a list of 400,000 buyers and contacted the company with a JV proposal without the product. Okay. I ended up using elance.com to create a complimentary product for just $500. I introduced and licensed the product to the list owner, making £5 per unit sold without handling fulfillment. And here's the figures. With a total of, we did just over 201,462 units. And don't forget, guys, this took us 18 months to do, okay? Even though I closed the deal over a space of 18 months, because when you're working with big companies like direct mail companies, it takes slightly longer. Just did over £1 million as a JV commission on that. And let me tell you, before we go into the JV case study, let me tell you quickly, I know you guys are staring at the pretty lady on the screen there. Here's what I did, okay? Recently, I met a guy, basically, at a networking event, and had a conversation with him, and he's actually written a course on how to use the stock market. Okay, very good course. He's got videos online, and he's got these 2 manuals that you get. I've actually gone through it, and I actually thought it was quite amazing. Very well structured, very easy to understand, and since having a conversation with him, he's lost a bit of interest in the product. Okay, and here's the thing: he sold over 1,000 copies of that product at at £197. Okay, which is about $350. So they did close to $200,000, $350,000 with that one product. Okay, to one JV partner. That JV partner did a deal with him and said, look, let's take a 60-40 split on this product, and you're working with me exclusively for 12 months, basically. So they sold over 1,000 units, did really, really well, and he lost a bit of interest in the product. But I'm like, dude, this product's amazing. It's a really good product, and how come you're not going out there and doing these deals with anyone else? And he was like, look, I've got this exclusivity with this guy here. So I was like, okay, that's not really working well for you. Now I have a distribution with guys who own mailing lists, okay, for Forex and trading and gambling, for example. I have a product now to introduce. So recently I was at another event early last week. I was sitting down, it was a product creation event, a guy called Peter Thompson, who's a really, really good friend of mine. I was writing on my piece of paper, and how is this for the law of attraction? I wrote on a piece of paper, must speak to Rob and see if we can do a deal, a licensing deal with his product. Guess who comes and sits down next to me? Rob. Okay, yeah, it was amazing. The guy sat next to me and he was like, oh, Sohail, good you're here. I just wanted to sit down and talk to you about my membership site. So he's going in a different direction. He's trying to set up an internet marketing membership site, and I'm like, dude, a lot of people are doing that, and you have to have credibility, and you have to be, really established to be able to make lots of money. I mean, another friend of mine, Chris Farrell, he's got like a membership site with like 5,000 members, and he makes a lot of money, but it takes the time to, get the credibility. I said, people know you as this stock market guy. That's your story, and you created this course that did really, really well. I know you've been burnt out in the stock market industry, and you want to move to a different industry. But at the end of the day, this is this is your credibility. You build your credibility from this product that you sold 1,000 copies of. And he didn't do like an online, it wasn't like a classic product launch. He did it to a direct mail list, and more better quality buyers as well. So I sat with him and said, look, I've got a deal for you. I said, I would like us to get together and create a 2.0 version of this product, and we both own the rights to it, and I'd like to acquire a license to this product, but we both get to own the rights to it, which means after we've done the marketing and whatever we have with it, we both have the rights to sell the product wherever we want. He sat there and said, Sohail, it's quite interesting because he goes, we're coming into February now. He goes, my deal with these guys ends end of February. I was like, wow, cool timing. So, this is the guy I'm working with right now. Now, we're going to redevelop the whole course. We're going to use something called Optimize Press. You might want to write that down, optimizepress.com. Optimize, I think, with a Z. And all of you guys will get a squeeze page and a landing page that I will create for you based on my own lead generation sites. So each of you, I'll create a separate one for you so you can generate leads from that. And we'll also get some videos done for you guys with credibility videos at the end of the 3 days that you can put on your site as well. So So I said, look, I'll help you with that, with the techie side. We'll build this site, and what we'll do is we'll go out there and we'll do some joint ventures. And I think from that deal, personally, I think we're going to brush up the videos, make the interface better, update the manuals, make them more glossier. I think we can double the price and do it at £497, which is what, 650 $700, okay? So I think we can double the price, which means there's more profit in it for both of us. And, you know, and the funny thing is he said to me, well, the previous deal I had was with these guys was 60-40. You know, 60 to them, 40 to him. And I was like, oh, I'll see what we can do. I'll see if we can get as close to that as possible, which is really, really cool. Which means it gives me flexibility to even do a deal where, you know, I'm making more money on the deal. And I get to own the product as well, which is great. Product predominantly works, for some strange reason, only in UK and Australia. It doesn't work in US. Could be something to do with the laws and regulations, which I'll find out more about. But that again is like, you know, something that you guys can easily do when you're out there. Look at something that's been successfully proven, that's sold, that you can say, you know what, I want to take this. You're not doing much with it. Can I license it and can I, you know, reconvert it? So I think with that one, we should easily do probably $500,000 with that. You know, very, very, very easily. You know, make a cool 300,000 from that within the next sort of 6 months, possibly. So that's an example of, you know, how you guys, when you go out there, look at those sort of deals. And, you know, I'll be doing the same thing. I'll bring things into the group for you. You know, you guys bring things into the group. You want me to have a look at. Part of this program, I'll help you critique deals as well and joint ventures. And I'll tell you point blank whether it's worth pursuing or not, okay, from my experience of doing what I do. Okay, so let's look at some JV case studies right now, and just to give you some examples of some of the things that some of my students have done, and some of the things that people who I've coached. So this is a friend of mine, Kim, based out in Florida. She's I met her on Mike Filsane's Marketers Cruise in January. Now, some of these events are really, really good to go to. This was predominantly an internet marketing one, and I started off making connections in that field, but then the second cruise that I went to was a CEO's cruise, which we had people like Michael Gerber, okay, from the eMyth, and J. Conrad Levison we had from the Guerrilla Marketing. That was a different cruise I went. And these events are good to go to. If you ever got an opportunity to go to, you know, like a cruise, for example, that has a lot of CEOs or a lot of high-level people, it's worth going to, because the great thing about us guys is that we're out to help people, okay? We're not there to push products. Right? We're there to help people who are around us. That's why we do so well, because people warm to us, because it's like, I'm not trying to sell you anything. I just want to find out how can I help you? What have you got? Assets, resources, products that I can help you connect with other people. And you know, it's a great industry to be in, because we're always helping people, you know, succeed and achieve in their own businesses, and obviously we make our money from it as well. So we had a brief conversation over dinner about what I do. Everyone's always interested in, you know, what do you do, Sohail? You know, you do JV brokering, for example, and just another story on people asking you about what you do, and it's really good relationship builder. And I won't mention the guy's name, but he's a very, very popular. He runs a very popular trading company in the UK, stock trading. He contacted me on Facebook and said, Sohail, you know, I read your posts all the time. A lot of people mention your name. What exactly do you do? What is a JV broker? So I explained to him, this is what I do as a JV broker. And he asked me about, you know, when's your next training event? I said, I've got this one, you know, right now, you know, this weekend. And he asked me, and then I asked him, when's your next event? You know, because you always, that's called mirroring in NLP. Okay, anyone know NLP? Okay, it's mirroring. Okay, you mirror a person's body language, or you know, you mirror them in terms of conversation, and you know, it helps build rapport. So he said to me that I've got my beginner's stock trading program end of February. It's a 4-day program, £2,000, which is like $3,000. And I said to him, and guys, something called the power of assumption. Okay, which I use a lot of, which means it's not arrogance. It's the power of assumption, which assumes that I'm assuming that I could come onto your program for free, but you don't say it that way, okay? Or I assume that I can, you know, come into your office, okay? You're assuming, but it's the power of assumption. You already visualize yourself doing that. Like for you, for Chris, for example, you visualize yourself going to these casinos. We had a conversation about it. You could literally walk in, talk to the people behind the thing, and they would give you their contact details. Bang! You went out to the casinos, and guess what? You got all their marketing data without actually someone questioning you. Okay, so that's very important. You know, talk about it, visualize it, bang, go and do it. So I had a conversation with him and said, look, I'd love to come to your event. But what I always do is when I say something, I always add something to it, okay, which is the technique that I always use. So let's say, for example, someone's sitting on a bench, okay, and they're, what do we like? They're eating an ice cream lolly, for example, or an ice cream, and or they have a spare one, and you walk up to them and you say, you're not going to say blatantly to them, can I have that ice cream? Because they don't know who you are. But what you say is something like, can I have that ice cream? And by the way, your dog, I really like the color of your dog. So, what you're doing is, it's like misdirection, okay? But it's like, they heard the first thing, the brain didn't compute that, hang on, he wants something from me, but at the same time, you're complimenting them, okay? So, it's a technique that you can always use. It's a bit of misdirection, but, as long as you do it, properly. Did the same thing. It was like, I'd love to come to one of your events, and by the way, I'd also love to help to see how I can get more people into your event, okay? So, asking him for something, same time saying how I can help you, okay? That's a technique that I use a lot. I use that all the time. He comes back and says, oh, Sohail, you know what? I'd love to have you come to my 4-day event, and guess what? I'll even let you come for free. Okay, so it's quite amazing, some of that, I was looking at coming to, and, he's offered a $3,000 training program for free, which, using the power assumption and using the right words. So that was really, really interesting. So you can use that technique with people if you're trying to get to know them, and, after a while, if people know what you do, it's a great technique to use. So we had a brief conversation with Kim. She told me about what I do in, JV brokering. And Kim basically contacted me 2 weeks after the cruise to help her raise money for medical school. Now, the thing is, she was working 2-3 jobs to get through medical school. She was like, I want to do what you do. I want to do joint ventures because I want to go out there and do deals and make money. So we had a strategy session, like I've had with you guys. Strategy sessions something also, guys, I recommend you guys learn about. And I'll provide something for you as well, a resource that I have had to do strategy sessions. For me, strategy sessions have been the most amazing thing that I've ever done with, I've had you guys on strategy sessions, I've had clients on strategy sessions, and it works really, really well. So we had a strategy session. I rolled her onto one of my JV brokering programs, and this is the result she got. 6 weeks later, she did her first JV deal, putting together a product owner and a list owner, okay? The product was a $99 a month membership site, and in the first week she did 262 sales, taking 20% as a cut. So she made $5,000 in the first week. That basically compounded, and every week she was making $5,000. She ended up making like $20,000 in the first month of her doing the JV, which is really, really cool. She was then approached by a drinks company who was trying to find suitable partners. Now, she was based in Miami, and she was in a nightclub, and she was telling people what she does. I'm a JV broker. I'm a joint venture broker. Once people hear that, it's like, okay, how can you help us? And how can we sit down and talk? She had a vodka drinks company contact her and said, look, we need help getting into some of these nightclub chains, or we need to find partners, okay, to do deals. So this is what she did. She built her relationships and connections, like I told her to. And then she JV'd his drinks into the top nightclub chains in Miami, making $35 a case. And the first order that we had that came through was $2,000 minimum order. So $70,000 she made on that first order commitment. Absolutely amazing. And the funny thing was, she turned around and said to me, why am I studying to be a doctor when I can be a joint venture broker, right? And I said, look, no, you need to stay in school because I don't want your parents chasing me down the road saying my daughter was going to become a doctor, you made her into a JV broker. So that was really well, that went really, really well. For someone who didn't know what joint ventures were, picked it up very, very quickly. Another case study here. This is one of my other students, Mark. He completed a JV broker program and was originally looking to do a small joint venture. Now, you can start off small if you want, but like I say, go out there and look at the opportunities there are, because there are big deals to do and there are small deals to do. After the strategy session with me, he decided to go all out and aim higher. I said, look, he was going to do initially it was an online small deal he was going to do, and I said, look, go out and have a look at the bigger deals. Go and see what resources you have that we can look and do some deals. So he went through his own database and found a teddy bear manufacturer on his list. He then contacted one of the largest gift suppliers in the UK with a JV proposal. Now, this is really bizarre because I would have always thought to myself, these gift suppliers in the UK, surely they've got teddy bears coming out their ears. But, he had a special novelty teddy bear. I think it was a Jamaican teddy bear or something like that. And it was like, it was novelty, right? A reggae teddy bear or something like that. So it was really quite unique. I know, exactly. And this is what he did. The gift supplier, they ordered 60,000 teddy bears in the first year, and Mark picked up £45,000 as his commission. So it's absolutely amazing. Here's another one. This is a really, really cool one. This is a guy called Richard who enrolled on the JV Broker Home Study program that I have. he had a strategy session with me, and he decided to do something very unique, which is one of the first students that's ever done this. He basically approached one of the UK's biggest marketing experts with a JV proposal. And some of you may have seen that guy's picture on Facebook when I talked about him, a big marketing guru in the UK who has a very, very big list. He then contacted me and said, Sohail, you know, if I was to promote your JV coaching program to this guy's list of 50,000 buyers, would you be interested? Would I be interested? Yes, of course. They're buyers. So I said, let's go for it, because I was like, how cool is that? One of my own students trying to do a JV with me. So basically, in the next 6 months, we did the calculations. Even at sort of you know, a small percentage, we should do over at least £500,000 in sales. And Richard takes his 10%. He ends up, you know, making 50,000 from just a connecting deal, because me and Nick will do all the work. So that was really, really cool. Here's another one. Do you recognise this guy? He's sitting in this room right now. Yeah, that's the only picture. I was trying to find a picture for Gary. I was like, what picture have I got? So here's another JV case study. Gary obviously here enrolled onto the broker business program, and yeah, we sat down and we had a strategy session, and we said, look, how can we do a really quick online JV deal? What can we do? And you know, Gary went out there and started, you know, making contacts. He was really cool because he came to an event that I spoke at in London, and I think, yeah, Dave was there as well. And he was working in the room, and I was like, wow. And the thing that really impressed me about all of you guys in the room here is that you guys have actually, before the 3-day training program, you've actually gone out and done what I told you to do: build relationships. Now you have all these relationships, and you have these, you know, these deals that we just need to close, right? And we need to find out what sort of deal is structured within those relationships, and we just need to close them. So we had a quick strategy session, decided to do a quick online JV deal. He then approached one of the UK's biggest event organisers. So the guy who did the event, Gary approached him and said, look, you're an event organiser. You obviously have a list because you've got people in the room. You know, what have you got? You know, and how would you like to do a joint venture? So Gary then contacted me and said, look, if he was willing to promote this guy's PLR products via a webinar to my Facebook list. I've got a big Facebook list, works very, very well. I send out a Facebook announcement, and people come onto a webinar. And webinars, I'll talk more about webinars later on. Here's what we did from that. This is what when I spoke to Mark, these are the figures. So I still need to confirm them, but this is what he told me. So in 60 minutes, we had sales of about £3,000 on this webinar, and Gary picks up 25% as his JV broker commission. So how cool is that? From a 60-minute webinar, putting a deal together, we've made really, really good money on that deal. So here's another one which is interesting. This is a seminar attendee case study. So this shows you that the power of joint ventures, those people who really get it and take action, it really, really works. So this guy was, this is a bit of a cheeky one because he didn't go through my program. He was in the audience, but he got it. He got it. So there I am speaking at this event. This was about a year ago in London. We had a couple of thousand people in the room. And this guy saw me speak on stage, and he listened to my JV strategies. And when I got off the stage, he walked up to me and said, man, that was the most amazing thing that I've ever seen. And he goes, for listening to you, I've just made £10,000. I said, how the hell did you do that? I said, tell me. Huh? Yeah, I know. I was like, what? I was like, and he's like, I made 10 grand. I was like, how did you do that? So he sat down with me after and said, this is what he did. He listened to me on the stage, and then before me there was another speaker selling a social media package, right, for £1,500. And again, look, this is the power of, putting people together. What he did was he asked her if she had a reseller package, and then he got onto the phone to one of his clients. Now, he's got a company, it's a translation company, but he pitched one of his clients, which is a corporation, who spent like £100,000 with him. He said, look, you guys are looking for a social media package, right? He goes, well, I can put something together for you, but it'll cost you about 25 grand, okay? They said, okay, you send us the details and let's have a look. When he saw this girl speak on stage, she was selling exactly the same package for £1,500 per person in the room. Because most of the speakers, some of them are one man, they're self-employed, so that they don't always target corporates, they work with small businesses. Same package, he was like, wow, £1,500? What if I bought that package, or what if I JV'd that course with my current client and put them together? So what he did was got on the phone to his client, and I remember that was really funny. He had his BlackBerry, and he was like, he said to the client, that package that was 25,000, right? What if I could get it for you for 10? Would you send me a PO, a purchase order, right now? bang, they sent a purchase order on his phone, and he got the order in from this company who was going to spend 25,000, saved him money, and he just asked the girl if she had a reseller a package. She goes, no, look, you can buy it off me and then just resell it. What she didn't realize that he was reselling it for 10 grand. So obviously, when they did the deal, he was like, okay, I'm going to sell it on to my client. And he pitched the client at 10 grand for the same social media package, and he made the sale. So how awesome is that? Real time, bang, purchase order came straight through. £1,500, thank you. I collect my 10 grand from that end. So that was absolutely amazing. So after speaking to him, he's now doing a JV with that same speaker to his client list. So that's again something you can do. Packages and programs that people have. It's acquiring the rights to them or acquiring control of it to be able to send that into another area.